President, please be seated. The court is back in session, and the chamber wishes to hand the floor to the co-defense teams. First, to the defense team for Nguyen Chia to put questions to the witness. You may proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. I would like to ask some questions this afternoon. I'm counsel for Nguyen Chia, and I would like to follow up some questions about Vietnamese military incursions or attacks, or rather the question in more general, who started first. In your DC Chem interview, E3/5636, Khmer ERN 00042473, English 007112110, and French 007273130. You say the following, and let me quote you. Question: in your opinion, what were the factors causing the Khmer Rouge to collapse? And then you answer: I could foresee it in advance, since they tended to be against the Vietnamese. They bombarded us with propaganda. They did not allow the Vietnamese to encroach the territory. Conflicts along the border were also a factor. The Vietnamese seemed to incite. One side of O Hoc Viet belonged to Khmer, while the other side belonged to Vietnam. Yet, the Vietnamese stayed on the Khmer side. Khmer asked them why they did not go back home, since the independence had been successful. The Division 920 soldiers shot and killed 30, 60 of them each time, yet they did not fight back. End of quote. What did you mean when you said the Vietnamese seemed to incite?
When the soldiers from the division attacked the Vietnamese troops, as I stated earlier, Vietnamese troops didn't want to retreat from the territory, and that was their remaining post. They said that they would need a few days to remove their materials first, but soldiers from Division 920 did not wait, and they engaged in the attack. And that was the first clash. And the division did not know whether there was any negotiation at the upper level, and for that reason they engaged in the attack.
Well, is it correct to say that you yourself were not a soldier? You were not involved in Division 920 or in any other Northeast Zone division? Is that correct?
Yes, I was not a soldier. However, within the area of Kaesima district, I learned a few things.
Well, let me read to you what a Division 920 soldier has told an investigator of DC Cam. I will read to you from the excerpt of his statement, and then I will ask you to give your reaction. That is E3/7960, Khmer ERN 00851665 and 66, English 00450-295, and French 0073898 and 99. So he is someone, as I said, within Division 9. Excuse me.
Deputy Co-Prosecutor, share the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make clear on the record that this is not the actual transcript of the interview. This is a summary that was prepared. I think we do now, or counsel has put the transcript on the record, but I think it hasn't been translated. But I just want to make it clear this is a summary and not the actual interview transcript.
I believe I said it was a summary, but it is indeed a summary. There's no doubt about that. And indeed, we are asking for a complete English translation of his statement. I have been quoting from this summary before. So, Mr. Witness, he is saying in 1977 there were Vietnamese attacks. It was the Vietnamese who started the attacks first. These are two sentences from his summary. So this Division 920 is saying that it was rather the Vietnamese who started the attacks, or the military incursions first, and not soldiers of Division 920 or other divisions.
I disagree with that because I lived in the area. They never attacked us first. It was us who attacked them. So I would like to deny that statement.
Well, let me then confront you with not somebody's testimony, but rather with a contemporaneous telegram. Mr. President, that is E3/887, English ERN 00185223, Khmer 000214448, French 00283096. This is a telegram of Susarun, Ta 05, directly to Uncle 89, which is Son Sen. And he says the following, and I quote from this telegram. In the night of 22nd January 76, the Vietnamese secretly came to our camp at the front and at the back, attacking our patrol guards. Point 3, we have not attacked them. We still negotiate firmly because that is our land. And then adding at the back at the end of the page, at 11 o'clock on this 23rd January 76, they sent more troops to attack us again. We have not fought back yet. End of quotation. And let me read to you something that in his turn Son Sen told members of the Standing Committee. and that is document E3/221. These are standing committee meeting minutes of 14 May 76, so about 3 or 4 months later. English qua ear N 000000813. English 00182696 and French 00386178. And Son Sen is reporting to Pol Pot, Nguyen Chia and others the following, and I quote: "Along the border, they keep on coming in non-stop. We did not go looking to make trouble with them at all. According to experience, if they come in when we do not chase after them and they do not go. But when we get strict, that's when they go. That is in Ratanakiri. In Mondulkiri, we do not attack them at all. We respect the instructions of the party absolutely and do not let it get tense." So, Mr. Witness, I gave you a quote from a contemporaneous document, a quote from Son Sen reporting to the highest level. It seems that the idea was that the Vietnamese were the ones always starting the attacks. Can you give a reaction, please?
Regarding this matter, people would say his or her response is correct, and I myself stand by my statement. President, through the Khmer interpretation, we have a different view. The witness initially testified about attacking the Vietnamese, and that it happened in 1973 when there was a motive to ask the Vietnamese to retreat from the territory and stop receiving aid from the Vietnamese side, and that they did not attack the communist Vietnamese but attacked the Vietnamese invaders. And the documents referred to by Council Copper refer to what happened during the Democratic Cambodia regime at a later stage.
That is correct. I understood his testimony to be that he indeed gave evidence about Vietnamese aid in 1974. However, my questions were clearly about post-April 75. But maybe it was unclear. Let me be very clear to the witness. Mr. Witness, I confronted you with a Division 920 soldier. I confronted you with Son Sen reported to the Standing Committee. I read out an excerpt from a telegram from early 76. So my question is really relating to the years 76 and 77. So I'm not asking anything about your understanding of what happened in 1974 or before. Just to be clear, so my question again is, are you still maintaining your position that in 1976 and 1977 were the Vietnamese, it were the armies or the divisions of DK that started instead of the Vietnamese army?
allow me to tell the court the truth. Those who lived with me were former soldiers, true, and one of them was handicapped as he lost his leg. However, he is deceased. He partook in the attack, and it was the Vietnamese who actually attacked us, but it was us who attacked them because they refused to retreat. And they said that they would retreat, but they had to transport their equipment first. And that's what happened. So the Vietnamese did not attack the Khmer troops in Khmer territory. And the same situation happened at Ô Hốt. And the third event happened in Ô Dam. During the clash, soldiers on both sides were the casualties of the clash. And I do not know how much knowledge you know about the clash along the borders, and particularly that area. There was a route since the French colony at the Cabal Ô Hốt. And it was a contentious issue in relation to the border, and that's because of the unclear map drawn by the French colony at the time. And both countries wanted to claim that part as a part of their territory. And if we think Ô Trang was part of our territory, it means that the Vietnamese were actually encroaching on the territory. And the Vietnamese had their military barracks there, and the Khmer Rouge actually attacked them in that area. And that is the truth, and it's up to you to decide on who was at fault.
Sorry, just one last piece of an attempt to clarify. In your words, when did this happen? You give us a year. When did it happen that DK forces attacked the Vietnamese? In which year or years?
Answer. It was in late 1977.
Well, let me finish this line of questioning by reading you the excerpts of two more telegrams in relation to the area. In chronological order, first E3/1099 It's a telegram dated 9 June 1977. It is from the political section of Division 920, also again to Son Sen. It's only one page, English ERN 00509691, Khmer 00376547, and French 00519863. Sun is reporting to Son Sen as follows. On the 2nd of June, at Spearhead 91 at Olive, a Vietnamese airplane, locally known as Trung Truc, flew over our territory about 4 kilometers away from the border. On Spearhead 92, after burning their trucks, a Vietnamese fighter plane, locally known as Trung Stoc, fired and dropped bombs at the area. We have arrested 4 Vietnamese families and 3 elephants. However, we have handed over them to the locals. So this is a telegram June 77, and another telegram E3/1030, English ERN 00324806, Khmer 00033312, French 006-23150. It says, at Ao Plai, they, the Vietnamese, intruded 20 meters into our land and cut bamboo. We attacked and killed and wounded a number of them on 17 June 77. We continued to attack during the morning of 19 June 77, killing and wounding a number of them. There were more than 100 of them. As of now, they have not yet withdrawn. So we have developed more forces, and they have pushed 500 meters deeper into our territory. None of us were harmed. So both, again, Mr. Witness, both telegrams seem to suggest that it was the Vietnamese who were the aggressors, and that 920 forces were defending against the Vietnamese incursions.
President, witness, please hold on. You have the floor now. International Deputy Co-Prosecutor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd simply ask counsel to ask questions without characterizing the evidence. That may be his interpretation of the telegram, but the telegram you just read says that Vietnamese came in 20 meters and cut bamboo, and in response the Khmer Rouge started attacking and killing them. That doesn't sound at all as the way he characterizes, but he can ask the witness about what the telegram says, but he shouldn't be characterizing the evidence like this.
Well, it says withdrawing, or not withdrawing and pushing 500 meters deeper into our territory, but I will not characterize, Mr. President. Can you give a reaction, Mr. Witness, to these two telegrams?
Answer. Concerning the two telegraphs, I have never heard of such issues. I worked at your work site. Sometimes I learned the information from the upper level, and on this particular issue, I have no idea at all.
Is that also because you were removed from your position in February 77? Is that the reason that you have no knowledge at all anymore about events relating to Vietnamese incursions?
You can say so. Rare information was rarely informed us, and usually we learned it in meetings and rallies.
I understand, but before February 77 you held some kind of position, deputy chief of the district office. However, after February 77 you were arrested and then sent to work. Would it be fair to say that after that period you have absolutely no knowledge about Vietnamese military maneuvers into DK territory?
Answer. Sometimes I learned from dialogues, the information from dialogue or from the conversation I had with others.
Let me move on to Svai and Bu Li. You said that they were accused of working with the Vietnamese. Let me read to you what you said yourself about this, and I'll ask for some clarification. And what exactly did you mean? In your DC Chem statement, Khmer 00042 477, English 00711-216, and French 00727-134. You're talking about bully, and you say as follows: she was always a nurse. About the liaison with the Vietnamese, it is like what I said. There had been activities seen like that. Her husband did for sure. He had a range of contacts. The Vietnamese had been traced till the border. He was the one who had hidden the Vietnamese spies in the province. However, his wife's arrest was because he had harmed and wanted to shoot the others to death. End of quote. What did you mean when you told the DC Cam investigator it was Svai who was the one who had hidden the Vietnamese spies in the province?
Answer. In relation to Svai, Svai was the secretary of Kanye district. I do not know that he was the hidden, he was an agent hidden inside. Hom Tazarun and Pu Kampu accused Svai that he was hidden the Vietnamese spies. Svai was questioned in a meeting, and he said that he did not hide any Vietnamese, and on that night he shot that Ki, the secretary of Orang district, and Dang, the chief or the secretary of Chenda district, which I do not know clearly about the later. Later on, Svai could make an escape, and he killed another person who was in charge of a generator, and in response that person shot a Svai to death. In fact, Svai had a relation with a member of Phu Ro, not a Vietnamese. I learned this from an individual who used to be with a Svai, and that person said the Svai had a relation with a member of Phu Ro, and that member was also known as a Vietnamese. He was under accusation, and he was the one who shot others first, so then later on he was accused of being a traitor.
That's a long answer, Mr. Witness, but I'm not sure if you answered my question precisely. So I'll ask it again. What did you mean when you used the sentence, he, Svai, was the one who had hidden the Vietnamese spies in the province? What did Svai do? What did he do when he was hitting the Vietnamese spies in the province?
President, please hold on, Mr. Vinay. You have the floor now, co-prosecutor.
Mr. President, my question is, the objection is that the question is repetitive. He did answer the question. He said he was told by Ham and Saroon that was the accusation against Svai. That was his answer to the question. Counsel doesn't like that answer, so he's asking the same question again.
I think it was a very long answer. I didn't hear it quite like that. Mr. President, I'm seeking clarification. The answer here seems to suggest that he has himself knowledge about SWI hiding Vietnamese spies in the province. So my question is very clear. Mr. Witness, did you have this knowledge yourself, or do you know this because that was the accusation against SWI?
Answer. Let me give you a clarification to the question. SWI had relation with the Vietnamese, but it was a suspicion. No one was sure that SWI had connection to Phu Ro or Viet Cong. But those who used to work with SWI said that the individual that SWI had relation was ethnically Rodine.
Let me read to you again an excerpt from this Division 920 soldier, an excerpt from the summary of his statement, to see if I can elaborate a little bit on this. E3/7960, Mr. President. It's the same English ERN 00450295. Khmer 00851666, and French 0073899. This Division 920 soldier speaks about what he calls the Cam Pun movement, and he was involved in suppressing the rebellion movement relating to Cam Pun, and he says the following: Cam Pun brought Vietnamese in through SWI. The Vietnamese were secretly kept near the village. So, Mr. Witness, can you give a reaction to this excerpt from a summary of this Division 920's statement? He is saying that the Cam Pun movement was, or that Cam Pun was using SWI to bring into DK territory Vietnamese spies, presumably.
Answer. I do not know this particular issue. I am not quite sure. I do not know about the relation between Cam Pun and SWI, or perhaps there was an accusation against that SWI at the time. I do not know for sure. And perhaps that was the accusation against one another. So I cannot give you my guess or estimate about the issue.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. You just mentioned, while giving an answer to my question, Phu Ro. What exactly is Phu Ro?
Answer. Regarding Phu Ro frequently went in and out that location and had relation at the sector. Phu Ro was one. Members of Phu Ro were transported to Phnom Penh, and I used to help 10 perhaps Phu Ro into the territory. Later on, at first, Phu Ro's people were killed, but there is one time that members of Phu Ro were transported by airplane to Phnom Penh. And there was one time that I helped drive a boat to help Furo members who cross the river. At the time, I was sick. I felt sick. I used to see them with nice clothes and watches on their wrists. At first, when they arrived, before they were sent to Phnom Penh, they had only a pair of clothes that they were wearing. Furo was the resistant forces for Vietnam, not for Cambodia.
The reason I was asking you about Furo is because you offered that evidence in relation to the alleged activities of Swai and Kampun, which took place in 1977. When you talk about Furo, are you referring to also 1977 and their activities, or are you referring to Furo and its activities rather to 1973 or 74?
Answer. Indeed, there were members of Furo in Manulgiri long time ago. And in the Somdai or the late king's period, there was a location reserved for Furo. And later on, Furo members were hiding within the Viet Cong forces. At a later stage, I did not know how the relation between the Khmer Rouge and Furo happened.
Well, let me first read to you what you yourself said about Furo in your DC Chem statement. Khmer 000424468, English 007112204, French 007271126. You said the following, and I quote you. In Ratanakiri, more than 3,000 people and soldiers were killed because the Furo had ordered the US to bombard with B-52s in the center of the city. The Furo was raised R-A-Z-E-D by the Vietnamese. The Furo was all those who had fought for independence in central Vietnam. They wanted to recapture the Champa territory. They did not want the Vietnamese to suppress them. In the past, the Champa had belonged to the Cham, Trai, Rode for more than 500 years. And because there was no documentation, they became Vietnamese. More than 3,000, 4,000 of these people, which is called 1 battalion, were stationed in Cambodia at Phnom Do Kramon. They were supported by the US. End of quote. Is this something you said to the DC Chem investigator?
Answer. The interviewer perhaps did not put the right points in that document. Ratnakiri and Mandalkiri provinces are two different provinces. So if they misstated, then the location of Furo could not be mentioned correctly. Let me clarify. In 1970, when Vietnamese troops came to attack Ratnakiri, Furo had been there. and Furo worked together with Lone Nol forces to attack the Vietnamese troops. And at the time, the Khmer soldiers said that they did not need to counterattack since they could not win the Vietnamese troops. Because Furo had the relation with the U.S., and then Furo called upon the U.S. to bomb the Vietnamese troops. So people, soldiers include soldiers and ordinary people were killed. In Mondulkiri, Phnom Doc Ramom, there was a battalion of Furo. Perhaps one battalion, or that battalion consisted of 300 members of Furo. Kilwon gave a location in Mondulkiri to that battalion. That battalion had withdrawn before the attack of Vietnamese troops. However, it was a different situation when the Vietnamese attacked a location in Ratnagiri. Furo worked with the Lone Nol soldiers, so that was a different situation. So if that stories were merged together in that document, is confusing. At the time, I was about 17 years old, and I learned about the information and what happened at the time.
I understand there was a Furo organization supported by the American authorities. They were fighting against the Vietnamese before '75. I know that. But you came up with the word Furo while answering my questions in relation to events in 1977. So there's where my confusion coming from. What did Furo exactly have to do with Svai and Kampun and allegedly bringing Vietnamese spies into DK territory?
Answer. I told the court already. I do not know about the relation between Kampun and Svai with Vietnam. But there was an accusation that Kampun and Svai had something to do with the Vietnamese, and I do not know about that issue.
Let me read to you something that that same Division 920 soldier said about Furo, but then in 1978, E3/7960 again, English ERN 00450296, French 0076390, Khmer 00851667. He says, in 1978, Furo movement contacted us. In 1978, arrests of Furo was conducted and sent to Phnom Penh. They returned. They had many people, and in Krang Tes they had more than 100 soldiers. It would be very difficult for the Vietnamese to come through if Pol Pot armed the Furo on time. They were strong. Furo were Vietnamese ethnic minorities. I met them in 1979. They wanted to liberate their nation. Furo included Rodé, Jarai, Kaha. Is that something that is familiar to you? Activities of the Furo in 1978?
Answer. I could recall some events. Furo was located not far away from the province. It its post was in the forest. When wherever a Furo, wherever Khmer Rouge was, there was a Furo. Furo was posted close to a mountain, and the wild bulls and elephants were captured by the Furo, and those wild animals were destroyed by this group of Furo, and I do not know about their activities at the location.
Let me move away from Furo and ask you something else about possible adversaries. It is the White Khmer or the Khmer Sar. You mentioned the White Khmer in E3/5178, your WI, and you also mentioned the White Khmer in your DC Camp statement. Let me give the exact reference. E3/5636, English 00711-205, Khmer 00042-468 and 9, and French 007271127. You're talking about the White Khmer, and you say in 1973 there was a rebellion of the White Khmer. What exactly was the White Khmer? What can you tell us about the White Khmer? Was it also active after 1975?
Answer. In relation to Khmer Saw, they started their activities from 1973 to 1975. From 1975 up to 77, there were no issue in relation to White Khmer, but I heard that the issues of KGB and CIA agents arose in the period after 1975.
Who was the White Khmer? What did the White Khmer consist of? Who were its members? What do you know about it?
Answer. It is a question mark in my mind as well. I do not know, and I did not see the leadership of Khmer Saw, but in fact Khmer Saw was originally from the former soldiers, and as of now I do not know who the leaders of Khmer Saw are.
But what did you understand at the time that the objectives of the White Khmer was or were? What was their What were their plans? What were their objectives?
Answer. I do not know about their objectives during the period. Cooperatives were established, communities, said the winners, were established. So the rebellions occurred, and some fled into the forest. Shooting happened. People were arrested. Villagers were also arrested. Execution took place. Your question is about the objectives. I am not informed of the objectives, and as I said, as of now, I do not know who's the Khmer Saw's leaders are. I have been going around and asked other people about Khmer Saw and where Khmer Saw originates from. That is the question I have asked others as well.
One last question on this subject. Mr. Witness, and I'm returning to your statement or your interview with co-investigating judges, E3/5178. In Khmer ERN 0019787, French 004855181, and English 00274096. You're talking about Che Satan, the commune chief, and you say the following: the commune chief was considered as reactionary and being as white Khmer. Is that something you heard? And if yes, what exactly did you hear?
Answer. J. C. Thorn, not J. C. Tan. J. C. Thorn. That Thorn. J. C. Thorn was the child of commune chief Ut. Before it was in Karachi province. Later on, it was after 1972 that GA was considered in the Mondulkiri province. J. C. Thorn was arrested and locked in shackles together with his two other relatives, and they broke the shackles, and two could make an escape. J. C. Thorn is alive now, and he himself does not understand and does not know who Khmer Saw is. There was an accusation against him that he was Khmer Saw, but he himself does not know what Khmer Saw is. Regarding Khmer Saw's leadership, no one knows for sure about the leadership of Khmer Saw.
Have you ever heard of the names Chan Chakrai, Chuk, Ya, Qmas? Have you ever heard of those names?
Answer. I have heard of the name Ya among 3 or 4 of them.
And who was Ya?
Ya was the Northeast Zone Chief.
Counsel, the question was, somehow we didn't hear the question.
Have you ever heard of Koitun, also known as Tuch or Kun?
Answer. Yes. I heard through meetings and in the announcement in the sector, and the announcement was that Tuch and Ya had been arrested, but I myself do not know Tuch.
What is it that you heard about the arrest of Tuch and Taya What were they accused of? Why were they arrested?
Answer: I do not know for sure. There was a rumor that they wanted they wanted the money to circulate in the market, and some others said they had something to do with yuan.
Do you recall when you heard about Kortoon and Ya's arrest? How many months was that before your own arrest? Or how long rather was that before your own arrest?
It was 2 months before my arrest. I heard that information. That happened 2 months when I was arrested.
Would that be December 76 when you heard this?
I think it was immediately after the December.
Mr. President, I'm moving to my next subject. I see it's almost 4 o'clock.
President, thank you, Council. Now it is time for the adjournment, and the hearing will resume tomorrow, Tuesday, 29 March 2016 at 9 a.m. Tomorrow, the Chamber will continue hearing the testimony of Bun Leng Choi, and then proceeds to hear another witness, 2 TCW 1012 via video link. So please be informed and please be on time. Thank you, Mr. Bun Leng Choi. The hearing of your testimony as a witness has not come to an end yet. You are therefore invited to be here again tomorrow, and perhaps it will last for another 2 sessions. Thank you as well. Duty Counsel Sok Sochita, you may also be accused. Court officer, please work with the vessel to send this witness back to the place where he is staying at the moment, and please invite him back into the courtroom so that he can further provide his testimony tomorrow. Security personnel are instructed to bring the 2 accused, Kilsampon and Nunchia, back to the ECCC's detention facility and have them return into the courtroom tomorrow before 9 a.m. The court is now adjourned.